Hello everyone, welcome to our recording of our online lesson that's going to cover the content for week 2, block 5, and we'll be looking at the year 4 group, and this is specifically aimed at the Panda group. So first of all, we're going to start by having a look at the lesson plan, just so you're clear about what we're going to be covering, but also what you need to have ready as well to be able to sort of participate through this lesson. So we're actually going to start with the mental arithmetic test. We often do mental arithmetic tests and spelling tests at the beginning of our lessons. So we're going to be doing both those things. So make sure you've got your sheets for your mental arithmetic test. That will be test 2. And also make sure you've got your spelling book ready as well. So we'll be able to cover those in this lesson. We're also going to be focusing on some verbal reasoning tests within your Schofield and Sims 11 plus verbal reasoning rapid tests, the 8 to 9 years book, so make sure you have that to hand as well. We'll also be involving some other activities that you can have a go, play along with as well. You may like to have a family member with you at some point during the lesson so they can participate in some of the activities as well. So looking forward to going through the content with you. Let's first of all start by having a look at your mental arithmetic test. So make sure you've got your sheet ready. This is block 5 test 2. There'll be 15 questions that we're going to go through. You're fairly familiar with the format of these now, but just to explain, I will read every question twice. In the first set, you'll have 5 seconds to work out the answer and obviously write it down on your sheet. And then for the last 5, you're going to have 10 seconds to work those out. So let's jump straight in and start off with question number 1. Write the number 7081. Write the number 7081. Question 2. What is the total of 8, 9 and 12? Question 3. How many less than 77 is 36? Question 3. How many less than 77 is 36? Question 4. Make the smallest number you can from 1, 5, 3 and 8. Question 4. Make the smallest number you can from 1, 5, 3 and 8. Question 5. Round 547 millilitres to the nearest 100 millilitres. Question 6. What is the product of 9 and 7? Question 6. What is the product of 9 and 7? Question 7. What is 130 divided by 10? Number 7. What is 130 divided by 10? Question number 8. Write the correct sign or symbol greater than or less than in the empty box. Write the correct sign or symbol greater than or less than in the empty box. Question 9. On your sheet is a scale. Write the number shown by the arrow. Now, if the arrow is slightly offset, make sure it's pointing directly at the nearest line. On your sheet is a scale. Write the number shown by the arrow. And question 10. Double 24. Double 24. Now for the next set of questions that you're going to see, you're going to require 10 seconds to work these out. So we're going to start with question 11. David had 64 pence. He bought sweets costing 19p. How much did he have left? David had 64 pence. He bought sweets costing 19p. How much did he have left? Question 12. Sarah left school at 3:30 p.m. and got home 40 minutes later. What time did she get home? Question 12. Sarah left school at 3:30 p.m, got home 40 minutes later. What time did she get home? Question 13. Mum bought 4 cola drinks at 60p each. How much did she spend? Mum bought 4 cola drinks at 60p each. How much did she spend? Question 14. Write the next number in the sequence on your sheet. Question 14. Write the next number in the sequence on your sheet. And lastly, question 15. How much liquid is in the jug on your sheet? Question 15. How much liquid is in the jug on your sheet? Fantastic. So hopefully you managed to complete all those questions, and now is the opportunity for you to mark it at home. So what we've got here is we've got all of the answers in red after the questions, so you can go down through and see all of those. We'll just move it up a little bit so you've got all of those captured. There we go. So we'll just quickly run down through them really quick just so you know. So number 1, 7,081. So just making sure you've got that placeholder there, of course, for the 0. That's really going to be important because, of course, when you have a number like 7,081, if you got the 0 in the wrong place, it would change the number completely. So just make sure. Number 2, what's the total of 8, 9 and 12? I would certainly put 12 and 8 together to make 20 and then add the 9. Remember, complements of 10 or 20 are a lot easier to work with, and I'm sure you could do that pretty quickly in your head. How many less than 77 is 36? And again, you might be able to put those numbers under each other and imagine what it would be, but if you can't, then you can just quickly scribble down the vertical method and then just quickly do your subtraction like that. Probably start with the units probably, but again, just visualizing those two numbers under each other will hopefully be able to get you to do it in your head. Make the smallest number you can from 1, 5, 3 and 8. So of course it's 1 in the thousands, 3 in the hundreds, 5's in the tens, and then the bigger number of course goes into the units column. Round 547 to the nearest 100 millilitres. Hope you did it to the nearest 100, not the nearest 10. So of course, as it's 547, we're going to be rounding down to 500. So what digit are we really concerned with? Well, in actual fact, we're looking at the 4 tens. So when we're rounding to the nearest 100, we look at the column that comes before that and we decide, is it less than 5 or more than 5? If it's less than 5, so 4, 3, 2 or 1, you're going to round down. If it's 5 or above, you round up. So that's the rule. 9 and 7, and I'm sure many of you may have been thinking quite hard about the word product, making sure you remember that it means times, not add. What's 130 divided by 10? Of course it's 13. You could use the inverse to double check. 10 13s, of course 130. The symbol, the greater than, the less than, and again we've talked about this in class, think about the way that the mouth opens. So I always tell you, think about a crocodile's mouth. That will always face the biggest number. So that's why you have it that way around. So you would say, the statement would say, 2,165 is less than 3,150. So make sure you've got it that way round. Now with these we sometimes find, don't we, that the arrow doesn't always point directly, so we have to make sure it's pointing directly at that line. And I wouldn't mind if you record the answer as a fraction or a decimal, but it should be 7/10 or 0.7. Okay, so they are equivalent, they are the same, and hopefully you've recorded one of those down. How do you do it? Well, you count the number of segments. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 segments there. What's it pointing at? Well, it's pointing at the 7th line. So again, hopefully that is correct. Double 24, hopefully you can all do that in your head to give you 48. And moving on then to the other questions that we've got, which again do require a little bit more thought, and hence why you have a little bit longer to work them out. We've got first one is 45p, so it's 64 subtract 19. Sometimes you could take away 20, that might be easier first, and then adjust. Question 12, 40 minutes add on to 3:30. It's remembering, of course, there are 60 minutes in the hour, so you can add half an hour, then add the 10 minutes on to get 10 minutes past 4. If you recorded it down as 16:10, of course, we would give you the mark because we did talk about it being PM, so either or. Number 13, we've got £2.40, so 460p's. And then 14, we've got 1, because what are we doing? We are adding 3 on as we go along. So I hope you were able to adjust from -2 to +1. Now, to show this, and this is probably how I demonstrate it in a classroom, is to get you a vertical sort of thermometer, if you like. Imagine that this is 0 and we go up 1, obviously we'll be going up evenly. And then underneath we've got -1, -2, and we'll put in -3 in as well. And then if we're adding on 3 from -2, you could think about it like this in jumps. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 to get us to +1. Okay, so sometimes I think visualizing what that looks like is a little bit easier. Rather than doing it on a horizontal number line, you could think of it like a thermometer. Question 15, how much liquid is in the jug on your sheet? So just going back to the sheet again and having a little look at that jug, it's important to realise that we're kind of going up in 50s. So it goes 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. So this line here is pointing at 150 millilitres. So add them up out of 15. You can tell me when I see you next how many you managed to get. We can reward you with some tokens as well. So well done if you did manage to get sort of 13, 14 or 15. If you got a lot less, don't worry. Maybe it's a case you need to just listen more carefully to those questions or apply a quicker method, because of course you've got to be quite quick with that. So it's quite a rapid test, isn't it? The next thing we're going to move on to are your spellings. So make sure you've got your spelling book ready. Write the numbers 1 to 10 down the side, and then we're quickly going to go down through these. Now, we do describe these as high frequency words. These are words that come up a lot. They're quite repetitive, and certainly within something like the 11 plus, and hopefully you've had an opportunity to learn them. Some of the words would have been in yellow as well, and we'd encourage you, of course, to put those into your word and meaning book as well. So it's not only important to spell these words, but also know what they mean. So let's go through these. Let's start with number 1. Hopefully you're ready to write these down. And the first word, we're looking at antonyms, we're looking at opposites today, is broad is number 1. Write the word broad. I often talk about people having broad shoulders. Number 2, what's the opposite? Of course, it is narrow. So, second word is narrow. Question 3, one of your longest words this week, enthusiasm, to show enthusiasm. Question 4 is apathy. Question 4 is apathy. Number 5 is frail. So when something is frail, it's weak. And the opposite of frail is number 6, and that is robust. So write the word robust. Number 7, next word you need to jot down is maximum. Maximum. The maximum amount you can have. Number 8 is the minimum. The smallest amount you can have. Number 9 is the word loathe, and I'll show you a little trick in a moment on that one. And it's one of your yellow highlighted words, and it means to hate, so loathe. And number 10, the antonym of loathing is adoring, so it's adore, adore. So well done if you managed to get all of those spellings correct. Now what you can do is actually use these if you like to check them, and I'll just remove the box here over this side so you can see them all there, and double check of course you've got all the right lettering. Unfortunately if you get any letters wrong you have to mark it wrong or just put a little dot, but do double check the letters as you go down through. Give yourself a mark out of 10 in your book, and again please do let me know when I next see you, and you can certainly grab some tokens if you got them all right. Now I did promise I would show you a little trick on the word loathe. So if we write the word loathe down, L-O-A-T-H-E, we take the last 4 letters and we just put them into a little circle, and we imagine that it's like an anagram. What word can we spell? And it's the word hate. And if you of course think of the meaning of the word loathe, that's exactly what it means. Okay, so well done on your spellings and your Enterific test. Let's move on now to the main part of your lesson. So we've really enjoyed, even so far in this block, and this is only the second lesson, but just exploring some different verbal reasoning question types, talking about the approaches, having some fun trying to work them out, but also developing things like your vocabulary, your knowledge of code questions, things like anagrams as well. So lots of different types of questions that you're seeing. And this book here, and this is the one that you need to go and grab, is perfect for covering different question types. It's obviously described as rapid tests, so there is an element of timing, and we can explore that as we go along as well. So first test we'd like you to go to is section 1, test 5. Now during the lesson we did actually time it, so we would certainly suggest you do the same. So I've got a little stopwatch here and I can reset it. So we actually did it in 5 minutes. They do describe them as 10-minute tests, but I think the knowledge that we have already of some of these questions, and certainly the ability to work through them quite quickly, we felt that 5 minutes should be fine. So if you want to stop the video now, give yourself 5 minutes to work down through all those questions down to question, I think it goes to question 12. Yeah, it does, it goes to question 12. If you don't quite finish in 5 minutes, don't worry, maybe you can stop the stopwatch, put a little star where you've got to, but just continue to the end, because once you have finished you'll then have the opportunity of course to mark them. So yeah, stop the video now and good luck with your little test. Okay everyone, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go down through the answers, talk about how to get the right answers and also the question types themselves. So the first set of questions you've got are called missing letter. So the idea is that a letter goes in the gap, completes the first word, starts the second word, finishes the first word here, starts the second, but it is the same letter that for each question that goes into both gaps. Now what letters can you select from? Well of course you've got the whole alphabet, but what they've done here is they've actually given you the letters you need to choose from. So we believe that's going to make it probably a lot easier for you to make a selection. And of course there'll be some letters in that group that you don't need. So don't forget on these, you must spell 4 new words. It's no good just spelling 1 or 2 new words. You have to spell all of them, but the same letter in the gap. So number 1, we're actually going to put an E in there for maze, erupt, joke and erase. So what I would probably do at this stage, I'd eliminate the E, because you're not going to use it again, you're only going to use the letters once. So number 2, having a look at those letter strings carefully, what letter from there could go into the gap? Well in this instance it's the W for straw, week, no and west, and again let's cross out the W, we've used that. Number 3, having a little look, sometimes I find with these, if you look at the most unusual letter string, so certainly this is quite an unusual letter string, there aren't many words that would go in front of those letters, that will really help you, likewise with that one. But it's the R for lower reply, mother and rescue. So we were left with the L and the T. And then as you go down through, what we'd like you to do, if you got it correct, give it a tick. If you haven't, just put a dot, Don't like to see crosses, just little dots, just so we know. The next set of questions are one of my favourite, and these are hidden 4-letter words. We'll actually look at an activity later which you can have a go with your parents or your friends at home, or even your siblings, to try and find hidden 4-letter words. It's a fun activity. It also tests your knowledge of 4-letter words as well. Do you know lots of different 4-letter words that you can define, maybe slightly unusual ones? And it's all about finding those 4-letter words between words. You don't necessarily need to read the sentence here. I've got an example here, and you can see that between tea and maid, you've got the word team. So it's 3 letters there, 1 letter there. So you will always have 4 letters. So you could have 1 and 3 and 1, as we described there. You could have 1 and 3. You could have 2 and 2. You obviously wouldn't just have 4 on its own, and the reason being that would just be a 4-letter word within the sentence. Well, it's not about that. It's about finding a 4-letter word between the letters. Now, what we learned actually as we were going through this question type together, that actually you can have 1, 2 and 1 as well, which is a slightly unusual combination, but that could be potentially a hidden 4-letter word, and we might see one of those in a minute. So let's go through and see whether you managed to find them. So what we want you to do is write the 4-letter word on the line. Don't forget, of course, the letters are consecutive, and the 4-letter word must, of course, make sense. So the first one we've got, if you spotted it between lions and is the word sand. Number 5, if you have a look between 4 and T, so it's at the end of the sentence, we've got the word fort. So well done if you've got that, like a castle fort. Not I fought the battle, because of course that would be spelt like that. So that's a homophone. And the last one is this unusual combination. So it's actually 1, 2, 1, and it spells the word wish. So again, give it a tick if you manage to get all of those 3. And then we'll move on to the next question type. Now, we did explain that sometimes you will be doing things like anagrams. This is very much an anagram style question, and it's all about finding out the 2 words that contain all the same letters. So if we look at the example, we've got bake and beak, and of course both those words need B, A, K and E. And again, they're putting in some others that might be close, but not necessarily using all of those letters. So number 7, we've got sage here and ages. Those are the 2 words that use the same letters. If we look at question 8, I need to work this one out myself as well. And we can see that if you take these 2 words here, ward and draw, they use the same letters. And number 9, we've got deer and red. Or read. So well done if you managed to get those. Those are the answers for those, and again, as we suggested on the other questions, give them a tick. So that one is really about accuracy. I think it can be quite easy to get those wrong if you don't look carefully enough at them, or if you rush them. So sometimes being a little bit methodical, looking carefully at those letters. And the final set of questions here on this particular test require you to find compound words, and we've done a little bit already in class on compound words, so I'm quite hopeful that children all know what compound words are. They're 2 words put together to make one. The example here, we've got clockwork, and we need to see the answers then for 10, 11 and 12, and you've hopefully found them all. So number 10 is screensaver. That's all one word. Number 11 is, again, let me just have a little look, it's headset. You can't see this, but I've actually got a headset on. 12 is going to be careless. So well done if you managed to find all those. Now what we would like you to do, and again we did this in the lesson, is just to write down your score. So if you managed to get 11, let's say 11 out of 12, not a bad score, put that there. If you did do it in 5 minutes, you could write 5 minutes down, and you could maybe just give a little smiley face if your target was met, or even a little tick, whatever you'd like to do, just in those little boxes. And also there is a progress grid in the back of your book. You could always record down your answers there. Now, if you didn't capture all of those or you missed any of them, there are all the answers laid out for you. So I'm just going to make that a little bit larger. And then if you'd like to, you can just go down through, triple check that you've got all of those answers recorded down. So what we'd suggest, if you didn't have an answer, we didn't know the answer, put the answer in. So at least when you come to look back at it, you will know. Now, I did explain that throughout the lesson, we are going to be sharing various little activities for you to have a go at. This is another opportunity for you to pause the video and try and match up the first word with the second word. The first word always comes first, and it's a case of making sure they are compound words. So two words put together to make one. So pause the video, maybe write them down on a piece of paper, have a go. We had some fun talking about different ones as we went through. So good luck with that. Right everyone, let's go through and see how you've got on. So we've got back, and that goes with backdrop, I believe. You may have gone with backyard, and that's not wrong, but in this particular game, those weren't the two that went together. It's actually farm yard. Now, we felt that was the only one that could possibly go across two, so hopefully that makes sense. Earth, of course, goes with quake. Perm went with it, permit. Man went with kind, mankind. Wheel went with chair. Cot went with ton for cotton, and of course if they don't go together they would have flown back to their positions again. So in fact, if I probably get one wrong, so if we go with bee and me, that's not a compound word, so it's gone back. So it should have been bee and an for bean, the and me for theme, and the final one is fear and less for fearless. Hopefully you got all of those right. Any of those compound words you didn't really know, stick them in your word and meaning book, and yeah, certainly ones to learn. So moving on now to the next part of the lesson. We're now going to do another set of questions within your Schofield and Sims book. So we're going to have the timer available again. So I would certainly say again, probably give yourself 5 minutes or so to try and work them out. I know they're 10-minute tests, but we do feel you can probably do them quicker than that. And once you have had a go, so again you can pause the video here, have a go, and then of course go through and do mark them. So we've got various different types of questions here. These are really good fun. This is where you change one letter and then change one letter again, and then it will make the third word. So hopefully you've understood those ones. These ones are missing letters, so again really good skills for you. Use the sentence to put it into context. It has to be a 3-letter word that goes into the gaps there. Then we've got to look at 2 words from each group that go together to make more compound words, so sort of building on what we've just done. And then finally we're looking at putting these words into alphabetical order and find out which word comes fourth in your list, and then you write it on the line. So again, you may need a little bit of scrap bit of paper or even writing it above the other words to make sure you get those right. So what we're going to do now is just have a little look at the answers for these. So there you go, they're all listed down there for you. So let's just quickly go down through them. So here you can see limp. You change P into an E. How did you know that? Because the E is over here. And then it becomes mime. So we've got limp, lime, mime. Number 2, where. If we change the W, and we know we're going to be doing that because we've got the T here, to tear or tear, and then it becomes team. And then ride. How do we know which we're changing? We've got the P here. So we change the P in ride to ripe, and then pipe. Now, probably need to illustrate on these ones how we write the letter in here. So use the sentence. The woman was something of the mouse. Well, what would she be? She would be scared of the mouse. So the missing 3-letter word is car. So that's really important. Without the sentence, these would be quite challenging because you wouldn't have any context to the word. So the sentence is really the clue. The girl loved something in her tent. So camping in her tent. So the word we're looking for there is amp. The noise was loud and something. It was sudden. And the word we're looking at that was missed there is den. Moving on now to these questions. These are the compound words. So we've got to work out which two words go together to make one. And we've got bit and ten for bitten. We've got earthquake, and that was one of the ones, of course, we had a little activity earlier. And number 9, it's snowboard. So going back to your answers here, you can go down and check. And then the final ones, this was about putting those words into alphabetical order. And the fourth word of number 10 is pencil. Now, just to point out, when you have to reorder words in alphabetical order, if the first letters are the same, you then move to the second letter. So in this instance, where you've got an A and an E, then you know that the A comes before the E in the alphabet, therefore paper comes before pencil when you reorder them. But then of course you've got other letters that you need to consider. You've got N and L and T as well. So again, what you might like to do with that kind of question is use the alphabet to help you, but also then rewrite the position of the word above it. So you can see there the answers: pencil, sprint and perfect. Underneath your or at the bottom of your page, or underneath those questions, you'll see those score, time taken and target met again. So whatever you've scored, say if you got 10 right, put 10 out of 12. Time taken, put 5 minutes again. And then target met, give it a tick if you've got it right. You may well find with that one, compared to the first test you did, that it might have taken a bit longer. And maybe because of this last final question, where you have to put things in alphabetical order, that is probably going to take you a little bit longer, so don't worry if that is the case. One of the things that we asked the children to bring along to this lesson was a reading book, and this was to play the game Page Race, and it really builds on knowledge of hidden 4-letter words. So hopefully you've got a reading book to hand. I would certainly suggest you play this with a sibling or a parent or a friend or a guardian, anyone who you can play this with, because this is really good fun. So when we played this in the lesson, all the children chose a different book, and the idea behind it is to find a hidden 4-letter word on a page. Now, I wanted to demonstrate this to you so you kind of understood how it works. So I've taken a page here from Peter Pan, and you really need to trust me that on pretty much every single page, I don't think I've ever not been able to find one at least hidden 4-letter word. So what we've got here, you'll see where I've highlighted within Peter Pan, this was actually on page 100, and I've highlighted where I've really spotted hidden 4-letter words. Now I may not have found all of them, maybe others, or I can actually see one there, look at this. But again, you will have to trust me that you can always find one. And I've just listed some of them down here. So we've got dove, we've got tout, we've got here, hero, fort, and I've highlighted where they are. And the way that you need to play it is to actually call out a page number. So you've all got a book, all got a reading book, and you shout out, for example, page 50, and you all turn to page 50, and it's the first person to find a hidden 4-letter word. You can actually do this with other word types as well. So for example, could you do it with compound words? So if we look at this Peter Pan page here, you'll notice we've got betray and himself. Well, they are compound words. So again, you could say, shout out betray if you find that first, or the first person to find a compound word, or even a homophone. So there's lots of different variations. We actually used it for finding hidden 4-letter words, and we were able to give out lots of tokens for that. So hopefully you find that good fun and give that a go. One of the things we also would like you to do before the next lesson is please complete your homework tasks. So this will be week 2. You need to have a look at units 3 and 4 in the Bond Key Stage 2 Spelling and Vocabulary Workbook. That's a really fun book, really develops your vocabulary. You've got all the words down the side, and you need to do pages 11 to 18. And then in the CGP books, there are tests 7, 8 and 9, pages 17 to 23. And also within the CGP book, you also need to have a go at puzzle 3 on page 26. And if you're super keen and you're really keen to do more, we always love it if you do more, have a go at the You Could, and you can do tests 10, 11 and 12 on pages 24 and 31, and a fun puzzle to do as well on page 36, puzzles 4. So the last final thing that we did together, we actually did play a game show. And this game show involves finding the odd one out of a group. Now this would be a little bit more difficult to record because it's quite interactive, but I'm very happy to give you the questions and maybe some of the answers as well. So I can provide that in the next lesson. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it okay and you found all the content. If there's anything you need to ask in the next lesson, do come along and ask me, and I certainly can go through it with you in class. Thanks very much everyone. Bye bye.